Who am I? Where am I? I set out from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. That is almost no longer true. Then I was in Pamplona. Good tortilla. Then Logroño, Burgos. Pain and silence. We are almost at the halfway point. Sahagún. Then to Santiago. That's where we want to go. And then even further. To the end of the world. Finisterre. That's it, my friends. But I'm not going alone. I'm taking you with me.
Wir verlassen Carrion.
Hello, dear fellow pilgrims. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm breaking the silence here for a bit. I hope you understand me, because it is very, very windy. Today is day 16 on the Camino Francés, and it promises to be a relatively boring but very easy route. There will be little to report today, because it's just straight ahead for 3.5 hours. Let me show you. We've been walking this way for 2 hours, and I suspect we'll have to walk another 2 hours like this. But it's okay too. The feet are fine. My cold is still there, but it's subsiding. There's nothing more to tell today. Maybe later. Bye for now. See you later. Well, what can I tell you? These are the circumstances in which we are moving today. Even a bit more monotony than yesterday. A long, straight walk for at least 3 hours. Mike and all the pilgrims we talked to felt this section was absolute torture. So did I at first, but then I just accepted it. And the very moment I accepted it, I felt better. It was pure walking. I didn't care about anything else.
Yeah. Buen camino.
Our destination today is called Terradillos de los Templarios. The Templar order owned this place in the Middle Ages, and later on there was a pilgrim's hospital nearby. The original Roman road, the Way of St. James, is about 700 meters to the south. Our albergue is named Jacques de Molay, referring to the last Grand Master of the Templars. However, he probably didn't spend the night here, and I don't think it was any more exciting back then what we are experiencing today. Well, Maybe it was. Yeah, for sure it was. But less comfortable. We reach Calzadilla de la Cueza. Here, remains of a Roman settlement have been found. For us, it's just the first place after a long, long nowhere. We have just been walking 17 kilometers through an endless nowhere, a straight path, nothing but fields to the left and to the right, and a very, 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 very strong wind. Everything was running down my face, like tears, down the side of my nose, because of the wind. It was not so nice. But now we've found a bar here after 17 kilometers, and we treat ourselves to a Napolitano and a coffee con leche. And on we go. In the next town we meet Gio. I look to the side for a moment and a pair of eyes sparkles through the street. I instinctively suspect, at that moment, that it is a sign. We haven't exchanged a single word yet, but I already know this pilgrim will accompany us to the end. Camino magic. If you've already walked on this way, you know what I'm talking about. Always follow the arrows. We reach Terradillos, and besides Gio we also meet a lady from Germany and some French people. Have I already told you my running gag? Whenever I meet someone on the Camino I introduce myself. Hey, I'm Sebastian from Germany. And the response is always, oh, there are really a lot of Germans on the Camino, a lot. But I personally, I don't see anyone. I seem to skip them for some reason. There have been a total of 3 so far. So until Santiago I always reply, oh really? I don't meet any of them. Maybe I just got lucky. No, just kidding. I arrived at the albergue in Terradillos, de los Templarios, or something like that. That's my bed. The mouse is here too. Hello dear fellow pilgrims, day number 16 is already over, it's at just 4 PM or so. We arrived in Terradillos and yes, there was 17 kilometers of a straight road this morning, just straight through one never-ending field. It wasn't as bad as the Pyrenees, but yeah, still exhausting. Exhausting because there was a mental problem at some point. If you just walk for hours in one direction and always see the same thing, then at some point you think, now I've had enough of everything. Now I'm going home. Now I'm going to walk through this small place. It's really one of the smallest places we've ever settled in. And you can probably still hear the wind in the background. It was just wind today. Mike and I were supposed to go separately, but we decided to go together again because the route seemed incredibly boring. And it was exactly that. Totally boring. Boring, boring, boring. But I think that's also just a part of this section. Many of these small towns seem like ghost towns, as if no one lives there anymore. I used to say that it's like a backdrop from another part of The Godfather, and the backdrop is just waiting for the film crew to show up at some point. Even though I'm not actually a musician, I just started singing songs, because I couldn't do anything else either. I couldn't make the drone go up, I couldn't really film because the wind was just blowing around my ears. My eyes were watering, my nose was running. Eventually it worked for me. Eventually it worked. Yeah, but it was quite a struggle. Mike was struggling. And everyone we have spoken so far, 2 Frenchmen we just met, and a very open-minded gentleman from Australia, Gio, who has just accompanied us for the last hour. They told us that they simply found today the hardest day so far. Really the hardest day. Personally, I have found the one on the Pyrenees the toughest. I found the route the hardest because I couldn't go any further and everything hurt. Today, paradoxically, nothing hurt me at all. Really, it's a paradox. 2 days ago, I was just screaming. I was just screaming with pain inside because I couldn't stand it anymore. I really had to torture myself. And yesterday and today, I feel great physically. I have no pain in my feet. I only have a slight pain in my right leg and a cold. But good, it's much better now. So the cold is really subsiding. That's really the paradox. But it reminds me of the 2 ladies from Germany who told me, after 2 weeks, it gets better. You get used to it and it's okay. Maybe I'm in the range right now. After 17 kilometers came the first small town, and we were in joyful anticipation of a bar. There were also 2 restaurants or bars, and they were both closed. And we just shouted, no, no. We were both really desperate. We just wanted to have a drink. Then the guy came casually around the corner and said, we just have to go straight ahead, then left and right and so on, and then we will find a bar. And we found it. Coffee at last. Twice. And we just spent 3/4 of an hour there because we just had to recover from the wind. Then we went on. The next village wasn't long in coming. We had another drink there and met Gio, the Australian. We hiked with him for another hour until we arrived. Then we let the day come to an end. By the way, we are halfway through the route. Unofficially, at last. There is an official memorial somewhere outside in the next town, and what I also heard, there is a monument in the next bigger place, in Sahagun, or something like that. Excuse me. It happens to me that when I arrive somewhere in the morning and in the evening, that I get it a bit mixed up, where I left in the morning and what the place was called. And then I remember places that are already 2 days old. But that's nothing unusual here. Other pilgrims tell me that too. It's simply due to the fact that none of us are experts here. But there are experts. I heard today from someone who has walked the Camino Francés 18 times in the last 6 years. 18 times in 6 years. And that's not the only thing he does. He also travels in Patagonia and all over the world. Let me put it this way. There are guys and girls out there who are special. You have to want it. This Camino thing is also addictive, as I've heard. I found the stories of the people you hear exciting. So everyone has their own life. Everyone has experienced completely different lives, has completely different plans, comes from completely different backgrounds. Completely different designs comes from the most different places in the world. What they all have in common is that they face life with equal questions and ask, what is this all about? What does it mean? What is my role and what do I do next? Everyone finds some form of community or camaraderie in the search for answers. I would rather say it is about a thing we all can share, namely that we are all human beings, that we are all no different, no matter where we come from. We all have similar needs, ideas about our lives. And we actually have very similar experiences. At least that's what the people who are here on the religious or spiritual path tell me. There are also people who are here simply out of sporting interests. But the interesting thing is, those who are here on a sporting ambition and those who are here from a spiritual background, they don't meet at all. They don't talk. Interactions between these groups are rare, but they connect less than those who are here from a similar background. And we are, I think, half the day ahead of the group we were traveling with. The South Koreans, the Australians, the Greeks, and so on. Tomorrow we will definitely split up. That's when Mike will leave first and I'll leave half an hour later. And it makes no sense for me to leave first. Mike overtakes me anyway. I'm a bit slower, but it doesn't matter. As I said, the Camino is also a personal journey for everyone. Ooh, what's that? There's some huge critter crawling down the wall. I'm looking forward to it. It's warm here, yeah. The day before yesterday at the albergue, I don't really want to tell you this, but a trigger warning. I saw on the ground such a huge problem, and it had 8 legs. I couldn't sleep anymore. I would train myself out of this phobia one day, but not today. The subject of fear is also one of the topics I deal with here, on the Camino. I'm doing this way for my children, to encourage them to find ways in life to achieve their goals. I want to tell them, no matter where you go, no matter how bad you are, no matter how down you are, you can definitely reach the end of the world if you set out. And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Oh, a salamander. Find your courage to go, no matter what situation you are in. Step by step. In other words, overcome the fear. What are you afraid of? Everyone is afraid of different things. For example, I have arachnophobia, a little bit. We are afraid of different things. Of course, many are afraid of, trigger warning, the things that have a certain finality in themselves, so to speak. But there are also fears that relate to concrete things, concrete events in life, after which things nevertheless continue. As an example, job loss. Many people are afraid of losing their job. People are afraid of failing an exit and somehow falling down socially. People are afraid of losing their money. People are afraid of losing their partners. One of the worst fears, I think, is to be ripped out of social society, to lose love, to lose your children or loved ones, or becoming homeless, falling out of society. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of money or not. Most people are afraid of no longer being able to connect with the community. These fears express themselves in different ways. Do they paralyze you, or do they release a certain energy? It can destroy you, or it releases energy, according to the motto, if I have nothing more to lose, I can win everything. And one thought that went through my mind on this, which I can also confirm for myself today from personal experience, is when what you are afraid of comes to reality, you are afraid of something specific, like losing your job or becoming homeless or something like that. When that happens, when what you are afraid of really happens, then the fear no longer has an object. Then the fear no longer has anything to focus on, because it's already there. And then at least, I can say that for myself, the fear stops. And you're still there. And suddenly, energy is released again, and you realize there's nothing left to be afraid of. Because what I was afraid of is already there. So I don't need to be afraid of it anymore. What I was afraid of is there. This may be a bit radical, and it certainly reminds one or two people of the very familiar confrontation techniques. For example, if you want to overcome some kind of phobia, go into a room full of spiders and try to stay there for an hour. Eventually, it will become your normality. If you think about it, or try to imagine it, then you might also realize, yes, that's actually true. For me, it is true. If what you are afraid of happens, there is no reason to be afraid anymore. And you act much more freely. You have much more energy, because in a way you have nothing to lose. And therefore, there's nothing more to be afraid of. What you were afraid of is already there. I know, I could have formulated all this in a more printable way, and you can probably hardly hear me because it's so windy. I try to keep the next video shorter. Thank you for watching. I don't know where I'm going tomorrow and haven't decided yet. I will definitely send my bag, because I still have a cold and actually still want to need to recover. I think I will choose the next albergue within 25 to 30 kilometers. I dare to do that tomorrow because it's supposed to be less windy. The weather is a factor, especially here on the Meseta, the treeless plateau. See you tomorrow on the way of St. James. I want to pick up my first Compostela tomorrow. They give them out at the halfway point. So they say. I just have to find it. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I'll ask around. See you tomorrow. See you. Bye. If you're here on YouTube, leave a thumbs up and check out other videos on the channel. There are a few more videos about the Camino. See you soon. Buen Camino.
I think I'll do the same.
I keep talking when I do my posts in my WhatsApp group for the people at home. I keep talking about the meal, and they go, when will we see some photos? I said, I eat it before.
I also thought I should have taken a photo.
Oh.